Good morning, everybody. Tracy Brown here, and I have a topic that I don't think that we recognize is so real when we, you know, crack open the intuitive eating book for the first time, or we read Life Without Ed, or we have our first appointment with our therapist or coach or somatic coach or nutrition therapist or whatever. I got told this the first week of my recovery is you don't need to be a perfect patient. You don't need to show me how much you know. You don't need to and try to do all this right. And so I almost felt pretty busted. I'm like, oh, you see me doing that. I still tried my hardest and I still did the best I could. But this video today is about recognizing when perfectionism that maybe you've had for a really long time, and we're going to talk about what perfectionism is, what the function of it is around chronic dieting and body image stuff. We're going to talk about the function of that, what that purpose that serves, and so maybe you can identify where you're doing that in your journey, and basically how it's actually holding you back. All right, because it just slows things down. And not that it's a bad thing. I'm thinking as I was writing the title of this, like, yeah, you're probably going to do it. But, we all have our own journeys, and we are going to do the best we can. Even if you are, super committed, you're still going to have times where it's like, oh, I don't want to go here. I don't want to do this. And so you let it go for a while, and you might distract yourself with something else. That's okay. We all have our journeys, and I sure did. I call myself a therapy dropout. I started, work on this, quote unquote, when I was actually 17, and I think I lasted till I was about almost 19, and I was nowhere near done, to be honest. But I just was ready to get on with my life, wanted to do some stuff, and unfortunately, and I think that the circumstances where I wanted to get on with life, but I also wasn't really being all that validated that it was as a problem as it was, because I wasn't fully sharing, one, and two, I knew that it made other people more comfortable, to be honest, to just have life move on. So it was a both and I also think that probably this is not blaming anybody, this is just the different people on the journey that I was exposed to, but I also know I wasn't quite getting what I needed, so I just felt like, well, I guess this is it. And I didn't, really start seeking to undo some of the deeper stuff around my eating issues until about 5 years later. So I suffered a long time looking normal and over-functioning, and pretty much in denial that it was as bad as it was, in terms of like restricting and purging and over-exercising. But because I looked normal, people really didn't say anything. So that's how it goes sometimes. Sometimes we have to have somebody who's really brave and willing to say, like, you're not fooling me. I see what's going on. And some people don't know, because a lot of the things that we do as dieters and bingers, and let's say if you exercise regularly, people are going to think that looks from the outside like you're just eating healthy and you got it together, when really you don't. Like, it's a spinning tornado of ungroundedness and suppressing stuff, and people don't always know that, but on the outside you're looking perfect. So one of the ways in which we use perfectionism in our journey is to make ourselves, and therefore try to make other people, think that we're okay, because either we don't think that this can change, or we still aren't ready to let this go. No judgment, that's just how it works sometimes, and it has a function. You're trying to protect yourself. So again, no judgment about that, but just recognize, I'm looking back, if somebody would have called me out on my perfectionism, I would have said, like, I probably would have started bawling first, and I would have said, you're right, like, I'm not doing okay. Some things are getting done in my life. I'm getting a degree, and I have some friends, and I have jobs, doing stuff, but under the surface, I mean, the goodness isn't really landing, and I'm not all that connected. And so it wasn't that good or happy in existence. It was just existing. So perfectionism, though, just helped me hide the shame. And that's the bottom line. So the function of perfectionism in my case was shame. For you, it might be just that. It may be like, if I do, let's say it's not that circumstance. Let's say that you come to a session with me, and you're trying to give me these perfect food journals, or you don't bring me any at all. What I know about that is that there's still something really strong in you, which is really, really normal, by the way, that feels like I'm going to judge it. And so you give me either perfect food journals, healthy eating, whatever your rules are about healthy. It's not really about me and what I consider looks meeting your needs or balanced or whatever. It would be about what you think that I'm going to think. And so, giving me food journals that look a certain way and abide by your rules would be a way of perfectionism for fear of judgment. Again, I get that. It's fear. You don't need to be perfect for me or for anybody else, because it doesn't exist. You just are where you are. And, liberating yourself from that will help you move forward faster. And the same thing is if you don't bring food journals because you think that, eating cookies twice in a day is going to get judgment from me. It's like, no, I care more about what your body needs and what you need to do to recover than I care about how often you eat cookies. Could care less. I mean, I care about how physically you feel, but I don't care, it doesn't mean anything to me. And that's where I think a lot of our perfectionism comes from, when we, when you see people talking about their diets, let's say, and how good they're being, I want you to see that as the red herring in them. That doesn't mean that they're perfect or they feel perfect or they're doing great. It just means they need you to see this so something feels better. That's it. And so those are all different kinds of ways we use perfectionism. And it's just code language for I'm not feeling okay, and I need something to be similar or certain, or something to be okay based on, what the world thinks, how I've gotten feedback in the past, and that makes me feel more comfortable. That's all we're trying to do. And if we can see that for what it is, it's just a way you're trying to protect yourself. You might find that there's possibly room to let yourself be less perfect, because your rules about what is right or wrong are likely not everybody else's. It's just something that we feel like we need to do to be okay. And I know it's especially hard to talk about when you feel like the way you're eating, other people might judge. If you're binging, that would have been really excruciating, I know, for me. So I imagine possibly for you, to talk about the days that I binged and feeling terrible about that, and that people would judge it. But there are safe people. There are people that understand the function of it, understand that you don't want to be eating in that way, but it feels like that's your option, or your body's so starved that you can't help it. And so if we can even have just a little molecule more of even curiosity and compassion for yourself, and some courage to say well, maybe everybody doesn't think the way that this diet mind in me thinks. And it's also important to know who, to use your gut around who is trustworthy to actually talk about this stuff with. But the perfectionism with those kind of people that are safe, they're going to see through, and they don't need from you anyway. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I'll kind of leave it at that today. I think I'm hoping that explains it at least somewhat fairly well. And thank you for everybody who's joining live. I really, really appreciate it. I'm actually getting ready to hop off. So whoever just, everybody who just joined, hi everybody. If you just joined, just kind of a shorter video, but just want to put that out there to you that, perfectionism is just a way of, again, trying to make things feel okay. You've got it in control. You can manage internal and external circumstances, and you can be okay. But what is underneath that I totally know is uncomfortable, and not even just mentally uncomfortable, probably physically uncomfortable. And that's where the gold is, though, underneath that. When in that discomfort And through that discomfort is where you're going to find spaciousness and contentment and freedom. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a great rest of your day or evening if this is later you're watching this. So anyway, I don't have much more to say than that today. That's all there is. But if you have any thoughts, questions, comments, please put them below. If you're struggling with all or nothing thinking or perfectionism, just really be curious with the function of it and recognize that the middle is likely where your authenticity is hanging out. All right, so thank you so much. Take care, and I'll talk to you all real soon. Bye-bye.